Okay, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to HPA, High Performance Agents. My name is Taj Howell. For the last 9 years, I've been a performance coach. I've changed countless people's bodies, countless people's mindsets, and I've helped businessmen become better leaders in business overall. I'm here again today with Mr. Paul Ritsuna, and we're going to be discussing something extremely important. And before I get into what we're going to be discussing, I want to just give a little bit of backstory about Paul Ritsuna himself, because Paul and I have been working together for maybe 14, 15 months now, Paul? Something like that?
Since April 5th, 2021.
Ooh, he knows the date. That is freaking sweet. I love that. I should have researched the date as well. But him and I have been working together for a really long time. And the one thing that I want to bring up about Paul that is an edge, that is something to, show success, that is something to be inspired by him, is that he is meticulous with his schedule. His schedule does not change. It's obviously adaptable, and it moves to whatever he's trying to achieve in the moment. But his schedule is the most important thing in his life. He holds that to a very high standard, and he gets everything in a day done that he needs to get done, and usually still has time left over to get home at a reasonable hour, which in real estate is so many times unseen and unheard. And so what I'd like to do today is, now that I've kind of piqued your interest and got you interested a little bit in Mr. Paul himself, what I want to do right now is, Paul, I want you to let us know, first and foremost, why is a schedule so important to have? Let's talk about that. And then I want you to get a little bit into your schedule and talk about why it actually gives you an edge in the first place.
Sure. So what I feel like I've discovered more recently, I'd say probably in the last month or so, just from talking with my agents and different stuff, but there's so much that's out of your control in your life in general. There's so much, disruption in your, whether you have a routine or not, you have some kind of routine.
Yes, 100%.
Right. So, but like when people go away on vacation and then come home, or something alters their routine, it's very hard to get back into whatever your other routine was, right? Yep. Or it's hard to get out of your current routine if it's a terrible routine.
Right.
So by it, first and foremost, it is the, I don't want to say calming, but in a way it's the most calming, predictable thing that you can do for yourself. It's like, no matter what happens today to disrupt your day, it can be a vacation, it could be somebody passing away, it can be all these other things. Right. I know for a fact exactly what I'm going to be doing at 4:45 tomorrow morning. Right? It's a clean reset. Yeah. It's a reboot button. It just gets you settled right back into things, no matter what's going on. So but you've got to stay in that routine. The longer you veer from your routine, the harder it is to get back into it. So, right. That's what I would say. I mean, it's the ultimate reset. And I think it affects your mood. It affects like your body in general, just your sleeping habits. Yeah. If you start off the day with successful things, it's the catalyst for the entire rest of your day.
Yeah. And it allows you, I like what you said about the reset button, because it's so true. So many people's problems bleed from day to day to day, and it takes, it takes its toll on people, right? Like if you don't have some sort of predictability, and your brain and your body and your mind don't know that it gets, to be taken care of. For example, like that's what a morning routine is. It's you taking care of yourself physically and mentally. That's really and truly what it is. And it allows you to better execute the day. If your brain doesn't ever see an end to the stress, to the anxiety, to the roller coaster ride that is business, to whatever you have going on with family or whatever, it can bleed. 100%. That's how bad days can bleed. Well, if you don't push that reset button and reset every morning, bad days can bleed, dude.
Well, it's your perception too. It's your focus and your momentum. So if you, and again, it could be good. It can be positive things too that disrupt you. Oh, I can't wait to see an old friend I haven't seen in 10 years or whatever. Or like you're dating somebody new or whatever. If you like excitement as well as tragedy or something sad, it can affect what your focus is, right? Because you'll focus and fixate on that, and it distracts you from other things. This happens to everybody at some point in your life and affects everybody differently. But the point is if your primary focus is the same thing every morning and it sets you up to be successful, and you start with that momentum instead of, well, basically not everybody has their days planned out. Not everybody knows what they're doing every weekend or every night or every day. But if you know exactly how you're starting your day every day, you build that momentum instead of waking up and then staying in a funk all day, not getting out of bed, or deciding to watch Netflix or something on TV and then not doing like, once you wake up and start doing successful things, like, making your bed, like going for a run, stretching, it just becomes a natural part of your day that you don't have to think about. And it's like when you're driving and all of a sudden you're all of a sudden at your destination but you were driving on autopilot and you didn't necessarily.
And because what that also does when you get up and you take action and you do those things early in the morning is you're stacking wins.
Right.
You're stacking small wins. And the more small wins that you can achieve in the day, especially in the morning, the better your day is primed for winning throughout the day. Right. And primed for the right opportunities to manifest themselves.
It's like focusing. If you focus on like, oh, I got to run every day. Right. While you're running, you can say, okay, I'm going to run to the next telephone pole, and then the next telephone pole, and then the next pebble, you can break it down into these smaller little minute things. It's like, do that with your routine. Don't think about, oh, I got to run for this amount of time. I got to do this. And then I got slow down, right? One thing at a time, focus on what you're doing right now in front of you and how you can move yourself forward. How can I move my muscle fiber 1 more millimeter? Right? How can I, whatever it is. And then your brain stops focusing on the negative aspect of it. It's like, even when you're running and you're really tired, you should be telling yourself, this is the best part. This is what feels great. Because then your body, your brain chemistry will naturally look forward to it. And it's literally programming your mind and brain to function the way you want and to see the world in a certain way. And I sent all my agents, so every morning I read certain things and I'm jogging. I'm always reflecting. And my reflection for today, I'll have to open it to read it to you. But
for sure, open it.
My reflection for today was, so in once in a while, what I'll do is I'll send the whole page of reading and different stuff, just as like kind of maybe spark something in people's minds,
Yeah.
My reflection today was, opportunity in the right hands is a very powerful and life-changing thing. But you must first learn to view the world through this very powerful lens, right? So it's like and what I mean by that is there's opportunity everywhere, and if the proper opportunity is in front of you, you first have to be able to see that opportunity,
right?
And if you see and understand this opportunity, that can absolutely change your life. And every day you step outside your door, there's opportunity, but you have to have things in the right mind, like state of mind and all these. And for me, this comes down to routine and habits and schedule. And I am a stickler for my schedule. I'm up early, which means I go to bed early. I get tired. And that means I'm sacrificing social stuff, in a lot of cases. But I know I feel I know my path and what I'm here for. And at this point, it's like, I want to continue maximizing on this. This is a long-term thing. And if you wait to start it, you're going to be forever waiting to start. And, and again, if you're in a funk or you're in some type of doesn't matter. I still get into funks even in this routine, but you know what? At the end of the day, I'm excited to go to bed. And if I'm not excited to go to bed, my body's making me go to bed because I'm so tired. I'm just right on my routine and hammering it. And yesterday is over. And we're moving forward. And it's like, I don't know how else to, it's just, I feel completely in a dysfunctional state if I'm not in my routine.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I enjoy it. I enjoy my routine. It makes me feel good. I'm happy, healthy. I look good, feel good. It's like,
so let's talk a little bit also about habits, because routines and habits are similar. But habits are the neural pathways that are formed by taking action consistently over time.
Sure.
So what would your recommendation be to a person who wants to look to actually build better habits? Because I know what my recommendation is. I'm curious to see what yours is.
Well, first the first thing I'd say is recognize what your bad habits are and replace them with good habits or what you want them to be. And the way to do that is to build it into your routine. And it's right. What it is, it's not about drive and motivation. It's about consistency.
Yeah.
You have to do it when you don't want to do it. You know, you can't, you have to get rid of the excuses in your mind, the victim mindset, the omega thoughts, right? Like you have to, you know, in order for it to become a habit, you have to do it routine, consistently, until it becomes like driving or riding a bike. It becomes autopilot. And seriously, it becomes like second nature. You don't even think about it. Every morning when I wake up to run, you know, it's second nature. When the first 6 to 8 months, I can tell you I was waking, you know, for the first 2 months, it's like, this sucks. I don't really want to do this, but I know why I'm doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, but I'm at the point now where I look forward to doing my runs. And now every day when I'm done with my run, I take a photo of a landscape of wherever I'm at, and I post in my story, end of run. And I've been getting messages from other people saying like, oh, inspired by Paul. Now they're posting some stuff. Yeah. And I didn't necessarily need for it to take off for people to see it like that, or look forward to seeing some next beautiful photo outside or whatever. But the point is it's just part of my routine. Feels good. I'm sharing. This is what I'm doing. You know, nobody knows that I'm lifting weights and doing all this other stuff, but that doesn't look as nice as a scenery. You know,
as a scenery. That's right. That's right. Very good point. So one thing I want to add to that too, because what you said is so true, taking the bad habits and replacing them with good, but some people might need an even further fundamental understanding of how to do that. And in all honesty, something I've learned is that when I was younger, when I was working in the bar scene, and when I had nothing, and when I was just like struggling as a young adult, right? My whole life was run by dopamine. Right. My whole life was run by dopamine. So it was run by alcohol. It was run by drinking. It was run by staying up late. It was run by video games. It was run by like anything you can think of, right? Like drugs, whatever it was. And so there's so many people that they have the same problem, but they don't even know it. So the habits are TV. The habits are it could be drinking. Like at the end of the day, the habits could be distracted when you're with your kids, or you're playing phone games, or you're scrolling social media, or whatever the hell. Porn for a lot of people. Porn is so bad, right? Because it's so much dopamine released so fast with no effort at all. And so people have these bad habits that they may not even realize are bad. And so what I always tell people to do before you even start trying to shift your habits, because if your brain is chemically addicted to dopamine, shifting your habits, your brain just goes against it. Like from a chemical standpoint, your brain resists that. And so it'll just do anything in its power. It will literally incapacitate you. I remember one time where I was trying to get work done, but because I was playing video games and doing all this, like drinking all the time, and my dopamine levels were just destroyed. I remember there was one time where my body physically incapacitated me, and I just laid on my desk. I couldn't move because I'm serious. I couldn't scrape myself up to do things, right? Because your brain's chemical addiction is so strong. So what this is leading me to is, before switching habits from bad to good, before taking the right actions, and before doing all the things that we're talking about, it's important to do a dopamine fast. Anything that you get instant gratification from that isn't pushing you towards your dreams and your goals and your purpose, it's got to be removed for I would recommend at least 1 to 2 weeks, just to kind of reset the brain back to a point where you actually can build new neural pathways. Because if the neural pathways are too focused in one direction, and they're getting so much dopamine from things that are unproductive, it's next to impossible.
Well, you got to rewire. What you're talking is essentially rewiring your brain. You know, and that's what routine is, right? That's what habits are. I mean, it's just a matter of, it can be overwhelming if you think of it as a whole. You know, you have to start somewhere and then continuously add on as you're adjusting your routine. And you know, daily I write, twice I do it. I make my to-do list. In the morning, I do it on my phone, and as soon as I get to the office, I handwrite it down on paper in priority, in the order of priority. And then I start striking through and getting stuff done. Sometimes I'm done with my to-do list by 10 a.m. Sometimes it takes me until 4 or 5 o'clock. Rarely at this point does it go later than that, because
Right.
I've got my timing and scheduling down. I've got more systems in place, and I'm delegating certain tasks much better than I used to.
Right.
And there's always another level to this, but you
Mhm.
have to start at whatever level you're at now in order to make it there. There is no shortcut. The shortcut is taking the long road. That is
Mhm.
the shortcut.
Right.
And it's everything you want is directly on the other side of things you don't necessarily want to do, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
like you gotta. The bottom line is this: it's not external things; it's inward. It is you. What I'm coming to find is the more I learn about myself more and why I react or respond certain ways, and basically the more in tune with my own thought processes and how I function,
Mhm.
the more successful I am in the outside world, and the more I'm actually able to help other people. Just
Right.
because I know myself very well.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm cocky. I think I'm humble. Growing up, some people would say, "Oh, whatever," but it's just I knew what I didn't like, and I was pretty. I mean, when I was younger, I was a little aggressive. I'd say, like, if I didn't like somebody or something, they knew it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's
Well, you're not fake though. You're not fake.
No, never, no. Everybody, I think anybody would agree. People that like me and don't like me would always agree. I think that they know I'm not fake.
You're not fake.
But it's life is as good as you want to make it.
Mhm.
And there's things out of your control. But if you don't like your job, make a plan and go and change your job.
Right.
If you don't like the way you look, do something about it. If
Right.
you don't like your hair color, change it.
Right.
Like, you're not stuck in these things. It's not society that hates you. It's you that hates you, and you're blaming it on society or whatever. We all have hardships. Right now in the world, there's a lot of pointing and blaming going on for all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to get into political or all these things, but it's like all people have to do is literally accept themselves, think about what they want different with themselves, and work on it. And what outside people are doing and saying to them is just not going to matter. When you are focused and you know what you want to do and what you're trying to complete, there are no distractions. I mean, now we all have distractions. I mean, nobody's perfect. Nobody's 100%. These are all very, I think, strong things I'm saying. And I am human. I falter, I fall, but I always get back up, right? And I always have that next day to reset, to restart. Do I go off my diet sometimes? Of course I have. I'm human here,
Yeah.
But the next day I'm right back on. It's like, it's just.
Well, again, it's the reset button though, too, man. It's that reset button.
But I forgive myself. I don't beat myself up as much if I'm going off X, Y, and Z. There's never throwing in the towel here. And it's, but you have to determine what the right routine is for you. And people ask me, my agents and others, like, okay, well, what is the one thing that you would recommend, this and that? What I used to say is go to bed early and wake up early. Now I just say wake up early, because if you wake up early, you're automatically going to go to bed early. So I don't care what time you go to bed. Stay up all night if you want, but wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah. And then the next day, if you stay up all night, you'll be tired enough to go to bed on time.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah. Every time it works like that.
Exactly.
I love that.
So there's, and what happens here is you can't necessarily measure the level of success that it's going to bring in. And it happens over time. So, you got to find small wins throughout the day, every day, that allow you to continue to stay motivated, and you just can't forget why you're doing it,
Right. No, and I totally agree. And you know what? The reason why I wanted to do this podcast on scheduling and on habits and routines in the first place is because, people get so caught up in their habits and their routines. Sometimes they don't actually take a look back at the big picture and why they're doing what they're doing and what it is that they're doing in a macro kind of sense of the schedule, right? Because if you're so focused on, okay, get this done, it's meticulous. Sometimes it's good to take that further step back and say, hey, where's my reset button? What am I doing for my mindset? What am I doing for my health? How can I get better in all areas, not just one area, right? And so sometimes it takes you opening that scope back or taking a broader field of view and understanding, hey, like, in order for me to get better with my business or with my health, I've got to do everything at a higher level.
Sure.
I've got to elevate all of my habits and routines,
Right.
right? Because people get so focused on the nitty gritty, the daily tasks and everything, that like every decision is so short-term focused. And every single thing, it's almost like you're being blinded by the work at hand. And it's like you're not taking a step back and really seeing what matters, right?
Well, and another thing is, and this happens to everybody, people that aren't in good routines, or that aren't in, people that are not progressing towards what they actually want to do. And this happens to people that are progressing towards things that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, in my opinion, if you're so stuck in a bad routine or a good routine or whatever, is, you don't have to determine and figure this all out on your own. Find a mentor, right? Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Right. Like, pay a coach. I mean, it's like, of course, we're not going to have the solutions to the answers that are literally right in front of our face about ourselves. You need to find somebody that's going to tell you the truth. And sometimes you have to pay them to do that. Right. Sometimes you can find a mentor whose brain you want to pick and ask them questions, and they determine, or they see something in you and they tell it to you.
Right.
But it's typically something you don't want to hear. Right. Listen to it, go away, from that, process it, reflect on it, and then take action on how can you change that. I'm always thinking, how could I have handled this better? Or how did I handle this? Right. Like, I'm always processing and thinking about things that go on throughout the day or last week or yesterday. I mean, my brain is always firing at an insane level and thinking about so much stuff that it's tough to live in the here and now. So it's sometimes hard to do exactly what you just said and look back and say, okay, here I am. Like, I was here a year ago and this is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Because I'm always, I feel like I'm always fighting in the trenches.
Right.
But all of a sudden it's like I built a city, 10 of them.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, like, why don't we stop and see how this blossomed here, right?
Well, and that's the thing, is sometimes you got to slow down to speed up.
Correct.
Right. And so like, I think the moral of the story is always have a reset button, always, be fighting to keep your good habits, limit dopamine releasing activities that give you high dopamine for low effort, so that you actually can have an environment for success. You can have an environment where you want to do things and where you're motivated, and just continue refining. Right.
This is not like, I think whether it's a business you own, whether it's these things you're working on, there is no perfection here. This is a forever thing. Like you will never hit the end until you'll take your last breath. Right. Like, you will never be perfect ever while here on earth, like to me, the joy is in the complexity of it. Right. What I do is very hard. Every day I choose hard roads. I take very difficult courses, so to speak. But I choose what my hard things are. And I enjoy the puzzles. I enjoy the complexity. I enjoy solving very large problems. It's fulfilling. And I'm helping people along the way. And so I'm pretty in tune with what feels fulfilled, what allows me to feel fulfilled. And I'm not talking happiness. I'm talking fulfillment. I feel content. I'd rather be content than happy, sad, angry, like all these things, And of course, again, I'm human. I have sad times, happy times, angry times, all these different things. But I know every day when I'm waking up that I'm progressing forward towards goals that I know I'm going to achieve, and there's just, even if I know if I continue along the path I'm on, it's only a matter of time until I achieve all these things that I'm working towards. And what's so cool about this is eventually there are things you start to achieve that you didn't imagine and you didn't think about that sprout up while you're planting all these other things. And you're going to run into hardships and things aren't going to go the right way and all these other things. But again, you're progressing on a path forward that feels good and natural and progressive, to what you're trying to achieve. And that is life. I mean, that is what you do. You're constantly adapting to new things and new environments every day. It doesn't change.
So true.
And if you view that in a way you can view that in two different ways or multiple different ways. You can find negative things in every single situation throughout the day. Every person that walks by, you can find something negative about. but you can also find something positive in every single situation. You can find something positive about every person that walks by, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to be on the other side, to feel like I'm in hell, to have like, my childhood wasn't amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will never choose to view this world in that negative frame, that negative lens,
Yeah.
So I'm constantly finding positives and again, there are negative things that happen to me in life, and it sucks in the moment, and it's miserable, and it sucks, and it's like I can't wait for my thoughts are always like, I can't wait for this to be over, because I learned a serious lesson here, or I now know more about myself than I did before this occurred, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what it's about. It could be death. It could be a job. It can be about a pet, a relationship, friends, whatever, family, But if you don't reflect on it and try to change your lens, right, then you're going to always see negative in everything. And we all know people in this world that every day they're complaining about something. Everything's a complaint. Everything is negative. Chicken Little, the sky is falling. It's like, you got to understand that
no way to live.
It's not a way to live. It might be for them, but it's not for me, and I can't be around those people. Now, I'm so uplifting, like that sucks my energy, and I'm just finding positives and all this stuff. And the problem with that is those people are looking to relate. That gets them attention oftentimes. And then you become unrelatable when you're positive around negative people. You become unrelatable, and they become unrelatable to you. And then it just, I don't, they're magnets that
what is it? Repel is the word.
Correct.
Exactly.
And it's like, so the biggest thing is how do you get your mind into a space where you can start to see positive things? Is you've got to start doing things that are going to, one baby step at a time, head you towards the direction that you want to go in. You don't have to drop the job you hate instantly right now and say, I'm going to go on this crazy endeavor to find my dream job. It's no, okay, we know we don't like this job. Let's start thinking about what we like to do and start taking baby steps towards that. And then when it's time, leave the other job and jump into the other job, right? I mean, you just got to make a plan and take action towards it. And then you're going to start trusting yourself more. You're going to start to have more confidence. You're going to like in a routine, you're going to get better sleep. If you're putting better food in your body, like this is there's so many variables that I don't know how to account for just by putting yourself on a proper path. Just by changing your mindset and seeing positive things instantly gets you more open-minded and seeing opportunity. And it just puts you in a better place.
Yeah, 100%. Paul, as always, man, it's always great conversations. You know what? Today, I think this episode is sorely needed to hear by so many people because, scheduling is truly everything. And at the end of the day, without a schedule, you have nothing. And as Grant Cardone once said as well, blank space on the calendar and you will meet the devil. Right? Like you have blank space on your calendar and you will meet the devil because something else is going to fill that time. If it's not productive, it's going to be unproductive 10 times out of 10. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Mr. Paul, I'll see you again, my friend, in 2 weeks?
Yep, 2 weeks.
Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks. To those of you listening to the podcast right now, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're inside of our high performance agents group and there's another agent out there that that would benefit from the content that we're putting out in here, get them in the group. Send the group to your friends. Let's build the community more and let's support each other and get to the next level. Paul, again, thank you so much, my man. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll see all of you guys in the episode on Monday. Take care.
See ya.